Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my first look at the Path of Exile Affliction content reveal and trailer. And there's patch notes to go through. I know there's 3 ascendancy classes we can ascend into on top of things. I know there's changes to lots and lots of gyms. And I know there's putting more new stuff in lab, which I already don't like. But let's see what else we've got going on here.
Well, let's just go ahead and get straight on into it. Here's the trailer for Path of Exile Affliction.
Something moves in the mists. Something sinister. Thorn. Rot. Plague. And claw. The afflictions.
Get the fight trees.
It hungers for more.
Frozen Legion.
In the wildwood, which shifts and fights.
Ripped
Accept
you.
our help, the ancient power of the Asmiri. Beware the spirits that yearn for freedom. And the heart of evil that waits in the dark.
Wildwood Ascendancies. 100 transfigured gems. Ultimatum.
Ready yourself. I will be waiting.
Hopefully Ultimatum's good. Its League launch had all kinds of issues with it. I think that was more behind the scenes stuff though than Ultimatum itself.
In the Affliction League, you will
Well, what about
encounter sacred
Affliction?
wisps, which
Yep.
beckon you to enter overgrown passageways that lead to the Viridian Wildwood. A vile affliction has covered this forest with a foreboding darkness. You'll need to uncover the forest mysteries to put a stop to the source of the affliction. As you approach the darkness, the wisps burn away its affliction. Make sure you tread carefully, because they only have a limited amount of power. But be warned, the darkness is full of cursed monsters that emerge to kill you. As you explore, you
What
might
was
see
that
other
sword
types of
he
wisps
had?
trapped inside the darkness. The Wildwood is trying to guide you towards clues about its affliction. Follow the trails of wisps by collecting them, and you may uncover many different secrets. New characters to find, shrines, boss battles, and all kinds of new encounters are lurking in the forest just waiting for you to discover them. There are many rewards to earn for those brave enough to seek them. When the sacred
New
wisps
helmet?
run out of energy, they will return you back to where you came from. Any other types of wisps you have collected will return with you to Rayclast.
There's 3 different, things. I guess those are wisps.
These wisps, having been saved from the affliction, disperse into the environment and inhabit randomly chosen monsters in the area, increasing their power and also their rewards. The different types of wisps have different effects on monsters, and sometimes more than one type will inhabit a single monster, making the fight even harder and even more rewarding. If this happens to a boss, you could be in for a tough fight, but if you can overcome it, your efforts will not be in vain. Primal wisps grant an item rarity bonus to inhabited monsters. Wild wisps grant an item quantity bonus, and vivid wisps cause them to drop currency items. If a monster gets all 3 types, they'll drop more items of a higher rarity and a lot of currency.
3 Vol
While
Orbs.
exploring the
5
Wildwood,
Binding
you might
Orbs.
find some of the last few Asmiri wanderers who have managed
Loot
to survive
filter.
in the forest since it was cursed. Each of them have different survival specializations, and they are willing to teach you if you agree to help them defeat the source of the affliction, the King in the Mists. Choose which of the Asmiri that you will complete quests for to unlock one of 3 new Ascendancy classes, which you can have in addition to your regular Ascendancy class. Up to 8 points for these classes are unlocked as you complete more quests for the Asmiri you are training under. The Warden of Eves can teach you to become a Warden of the Magi, a powerful class that takes advantage of wilderness knowledge. A Warden of the Magi can learn to use tinctures which coat their weapon, granting various powerful effects.
That's really cool.
You can equip tinctures in your flask slots.
What
and
is the
toggle them on
weapon?
and off at will.
Is it just a cosmetic?
You can only have one enabled at a time, but the effects are quite conditional, so you may want to have more than one equipped and swap between them during combat. For example, equip the Ironwood Tincture to gain the benefit of always stunning enemies on full life. Tinctures can also be random mods.
That's
This
crazy.
one in particular adds stacks of wither to targets on full life and steals frenzy charges on hit, which makes it great as an initiator. When you are fighting rare monsters or finishing off tough bosses, you will want to swap to the Oak Branch Tincture, which grants Culling Strike, increased damage against enemies on low life, and has a chance to steal a mod from rare enemies you kill. You
Okay.
can buy more tinctures from the Warden of Eves using Primal Wisps when you find her in the forest, so keep an eye out for her. As a Warden of the Magi gains more Ascendancy points, they gain access to more skills that let them further specialize in tinctures. For example, Nature's Concoction allows you to invest in having your tinctures enhance your flasks. This Ascendancy skill makes it important to think about which slots your tinctures are placed in, and what flasks they are adjacent to. You'll have better uptime on
Charge
those flasks,
gain
and they'll be stronger
on
as
those
a result.
flasks.
But there are plenty
On
more
hit with
skills
a
to
weapon.
choose even if you don't want to engage with tinctures. For example, another new ability to unlock is Barkskin. It's a reservation skill that causes bark to grow all over your body, increasing armor. As you take damage, the bark falls off, increasing your evasion. Over time, the bark will grow back, removing the evasion bonus but increasing your armor again. The Breaker of Oaths can teach you to become a Warlock of the Mists, an Ascendancy class specializing in the darker arts of the Ismeri.
I like this. This looks really cool.
One powerful ability you can choose is Blood Hunt, which grants an active skill called Ravenous. This skill lets you see what type a monster is under its life bar, whether it is a demon, beast, undead, construct, or humanoid. Consuming a corpse with this skill gives a buff to damage against that type of monster, and reduces damage taken by it. You can only have one type active at a time, so it's a good idea to choose wisely for the area that you are in. Some bosses like the Maven are eldritch in nature and don't conform to the regular corpses that you have access to, but don't worry. The Breaker of Oaths has a shop where you can trade wild wisps for corpses that you can place on the ground wherever you are. Buy an eldritch corpse and you will be able to get the bonus while fighting eldritch entities like the Maven.
Okay.
You may notice that most of the corpses he sells are not monsters you normally encounter.
So can you
might
make
want to try
specters of
turning
them?
Some of these corpses into specters, to
Oh.
take advantage of some of the unique abilities that these monsters have.
Okay. Yeah. That looks dope.
The Warlock of the Mists gets access to many other abilities. For example, there is a trio of curses that you can pick from.
Wait, new curses?
One of these curses targets your minions, giving them life degen and making them explode for massive damage when they are near death.
Okay.
One of them prevents enemies from dealing damage for the latter portion of its duration, which is quite powerful against bosses. This curse creates the interesting
Prevent
decision of whether or
damage.
not you should increase curse duration or reduce it. The final curse is a mark that causes enemy phantasms to be spawned when you hit the marked enemy. These phantasms aren't on your side, so they work well with on-hit and on-kill trigger effects, for example.
Okay.
The Primal Huntress can teach you to become a Wildwood Primalist.
Enabling Worm Flask
Unlike the other
builds
new
just for
ascendancies,
free.
The Primal Huntress lets you customize your tree. You do this with charms that you can buy from the Primal Huntress for Vivid Wisps. Charms have randomly generated mods, which give stats to
Flask
regular
charge
ascendancy classes,
region. That's crazy.
allowing you to create your own hybrid ascendancy class.
Okay, that's gonna be busted too.
Charms are magic items that are aligned with different attributes. So for example, this Ursine charm is strength aligned, and has gotten the melee hits have a chance to fortify stat from the champion, and the ability to stop your movement speed going below base from the Juggernaut. This interline Corvine charm lets you get the stat that makes your consecrated ground effects linger from the Inquisitor, and the effect that makes cursed enemies explode from the Occultist. Some of the combination of mods that you might find for sale on Charms can be extremely powerful, so keep a lookout for the Primal Huntress's shop even if you are not playing as a Primalist. As a Primalist,
Minimum
you also
charges.
get access to a few other interesting abilities. Use war cries next to corpses and they have a chance to drop an extra item. It opens nearby chests too. The Primalist also gets access to a small extra backpack, just in case you find yourself needing to cart more items to town during your map runs.
What?
If you are unhappy with the class you picked, or you just happen to find
That's
a really
busted.
great item for another one of the classes, you are able to change which class you are using next time you find one of the Azmiri Wanderers. Just remember that you will have to do their quests.
That's like
in
a
order to
currency
gain the
stash,
for
like
that class.
extra back,
These
like
quests
that's.
will lead you towards the ultimate goal of the Azmiri: finding the King in the Mists, defeating him, and cleansing the forest of its affliction once and for all. There are new uniques to find, rewards to claim, and new ascendancy classes to master in the Affliction League.
So every character is gonna have one of those three.
Let's talk about
Or
some of the changes.
most of them's gonna be the one, unless you build around it.
For a start, Ultimatum is finally going core. When talking to players at ExileCon, it was the #1 feature that people requested. When playing through in-game maps, you may sometimes encounter the Trial Master, who offers you a choice to undertake a deadly Val trial in exchange for great rewards.
These are
If you
hard.
defeat the trial, he offers to go double or nothing with you. Do you take the risk and go for an even better reward? Or do you take the winnings you have already earned off the table and go home? We've done a full rebalance of Ultimatum and have added many new mods and rewards.
You need
including both
immunity to hinder.
reworked uniques. The base number of rounds for an Ultimatum trial is now always 10, with a chance to spawn the Trial Master boss fight on the 10th round, if you are able to.
It'll
make
help
it
you
to
get
the
like
trial.
free rounds.
As part of 323, we have also removed Metamorph from the game. All the catalyst
Bye,
rewards from
Metamorph.
have now been moved to be rewards for Ultimatum.
Cool.
We have
That's
also
fine.
added a new Val-themed catalyst that works on corrupted items.
That's cool.
As is normal for most content that gets added to in-game, we have introduced new Ultimatum passive skills to the Atlas tree.
Cool. I still want to just like
One
shuffle
great
it.
example is the Keystone Grueling Gauntlet. It makes Ultimatum
It's been the same.
extra rounds, but you cannot choose the modifiers, and it prevents the final Trial Master boss fight from spawning. The level of challenge becomes extreme during the last 3 rounds, and not being able to choose the modifiers makes it even harder. But the rewards are insane, and for those with very high-end characters, it might be a bet worth making. There are lots of other Atlas passive skills you can pick from for Ultimatum, so choose wisely.
Ooh, those are divines.
It's time to talk about one of the largest metagame changes we've ever made. There were 3 systems in Path of Exile that were all trying to subtly modify the behavior of skills. These were alternate quality gems, Labyrinth Helmet enchants, and unique threshold jewels. We've combined all of these together to create a new system called Transfigured Gems that allows us to fully achieve the goal of these 3 systems.
Wait, so
and
does this mean
gems.
no more helmet chance?
Transfigured Gems are alternative versions of existing skills
What?
with different functionality and balance from their regular versions. We have added a huge number of these with interesting variations that drastically change how existing skills play. For example, Frostbomb of Instability. It changes it from a cooldown skill that you can cast occasionally for a large explosion into a skill that you can cast continuously but deals less damage and doesn't apply cold exposure. It changes the role of Frostbomb from a utility skill into a main damaging skill. Another example is Detonate Dead of Scavenging. You can't use it on corpses that were created by Desecrate or Unearth, but in exchange it does a whole lot more damage. You won't be able to use it as your main reliable source of damage, but it's a great skill to use as a 4-link utility to get some extreme burst damage. Raise Zombie of Falling. Instead of raising a zombie from a corpse, you summon them from mid-air. They fall to
Oh,
their
that's
death, dealing
awesome.
AoE damage where they land. While this sounds like a physical damage version of Firestorm, you should consider that it scales with minion damage and also triggers on-death minion effects. Blight
That's
of
awesome.
Contagion. This version of Blight is now spread by Contagion, so you can use it as part of your Essence Drain build.
Ooh,
We have a
that's
huge number of
really
options. Transfigure
cool.
Firestorm into Firestorm with Meteors, Transfigure Blade Trap into Blade Trap of Great Swords, Transfigure Barrage into Barrage of Volley Fire, and so on. There is a lot to experiment with, and we look forward to seeing what builds you can come up with.
Oh, this is gonna be
How
so
do you
much
get
fun.
Transfigured gems?
You have to
The
run
Divine Font at the end
lab.
of the Eternal
Yeah.
Labyrinth has been changed to a gem crafting device
Oh,
that can modify
God.
your skill and support gems in a lot of new ways. One of the options you can now choose is to turn a skill gem into one of 3 transfigured gems. But that isn't all the Divine Font can do. It has a lot of other gem crafting options you can use. For example, you can add quality to gems, add experience to gems, sacrifice a gem for one or more treasure keys to open Azara's chests, and you can even exchange support gems for exceptional support gems like Empower or Enlighten. These are just some of the options you'll find the Divine Font is
Okay.
capable of. In order to replace the rewards and heist that previously gave alternate quality gems, we have done a rebalance of the rewards of heist as well.
Okay.
Experimented base types have been rebalanced.
But no
New
more
rewards
alt
uniques
quality
have been added
gems?
and old ones changed, and we have increased the amount of currency from display cases as well. On top of this, we have gone through and buffed the quality stats on most damage dealing skills. In most cases, they will be significantly more powerful than before, and also more interesting.
This is
Overall,
good.
This is one of the largest metagame shifts that we've ever done. There are so many crazy new skill combinations to plan around, so we expect to see some really interesting new builds. Next up, I'd like to hand back over to Chris to talk about the new supporter packs.
Okay.
At this point, we'd usually talk about the League supporter packs. We're doing things a bit differently this year. Rather than releasing League supporter packs today and then our annual core packs 2 weeks later, we've combined it all together into a strong set of core supporter packs that will be released alongside Path of Exile Affliction next week. The series contains 5 packs, each with its full value in points
Okay.
and a collection of exclusive cosmetic microtransactions. The higher packs contain physical merchandise. We'll unveil the full details of each of the packs at release next week, but in the meantime, here's a sneak peek of some of their exclusive cosmetic microtransactions. These packs will be available for purchase when Path of Exile Affliction launches on the 8th of December. Thank you so much for your ongoing support.
What? That's awesome.
We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, we'll post Path of Exile Affliction's full patch notes.
Okay,
With
that's
the
where we go
next
next.
week, our community team will
Patch
post the
notes.
crucial information you'll need for Affliction's release. Keep an eye on
Yep.
the news. On release weekend, we expect to launch the new mystery box and this season's Kyrix Vault Pass.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us today and checking out our latest developments.
right on. So let's go patch notes. I'm probably best over here. We need music. Alright, there we go. Big table of contents. I'm gonna cut this down to the things that really jump out to me that I feel like worth mentioning. Probably looking at a lot of gems, because we just went through all of what the Affliction League is and was in that video. There's solo self-found, ruthless, all the normal stuff, new challenges, 4 new div cards, 2 designed by supporters, 2 designed by event winners, uniques added to the drop pool from Trial of the Ancestors, okay, 16 new uniques, 7 replicas, 5 new experimented base types, more foiled uniques from Voidpoint Reliquary Key, Ranger and Scion audio dialogue for Part 2, Path of Exile. That's cool. That's Act 6 through 10. And I like to play Rangers, so that's something new. Yep, sound. Ultimatum changes. 8% chance to find it. 10 rounds by default, though I sincerely hope you intend to last longer than 2 rounds. You can be teleported to the Trial Masters Arena for the 10th round in level 81 or higher areas. It's a chance, not guarantee, so probably rare. Ultimatum mods have been rebalanced, some new mods added, some previous mods removed. Ultimatum mods previously had 3 tiers of difficulty, now have 4. They no longer drop loot, though they still grant experience, so you can only get loot from the Trial Master. Tainted Catalyst. It applies a random quality type and amount to a corrupted ring, amulet, or belt, and replaces other quality types. Interesting. So this is the place to get catalysts now. So the vault aspects aren't the way to get the Trial Master anymore. It instead makes a new unique jewel. Interesting. It's still going to be hard to get one of those. Can no longer open the unique. You can vendor ultimatums into ultimatums, the inscribed ones. Round count display between rounds. Kurak can offer map missions to complete ultimatums. It can be an enchant implicit on maps. Catalysts can't be offered from ritual or delirium orbs. Mysterious incubators can't drop catalysts, but you can still get catalysts from incubators, probably as there's a legion, I would imagine. Yeah, challenging delirium orbs, challenging incubators. So those are loot filter changes, which I'll be going over probably next week sometime. Full guide on creating a loot filter. Reduce the amount of catalysts from heist chests, expedition, betrayal, all unique strong boxes, and offerings from Tujin. So catalysts are going to be harder to get. Metamorph scarabs are now ultimatum scarabs. So this is a change. I need to see what the scarab looks like. This changes what color the text is. There's ultimatum sextant mods. Metamorph clusters have been replaced with ultimatum on the tree. We got chance for ultimatums. Ultimatum increased number of monsters. Grant increased XP. Chance for them to start at a higher tier. Rewards chance to be duplicated. Ultimatums have a chance to get 3% in reduced radius each round. Okay, that can make them harder. And also causes them to grant rewards as though you completed an additional round. Notable passives. Doesn't really say what they are. Ultimatum monsters deal 50% less damage and fail on reaching 7 ruin. And give it increased chance to require you to stand in stone circles. I remember that not being ideal. You can get increased chance to only require you to survive. So those are duration ones. And then you can get chance to defeat waves of enemies or chance to protect the altar. So kind of like the expedition nodes on the tree, I guess. You can get chance for inscribed ultimatums, 3 additional rounds, but no boss. Increased chance for unique items, currency, div cards. Increased chance for the boss. There's the blocking node. Shepherd of Souls. Unique Scepter no longer causes other Vol skills to gain 50% of the consumed souls when you use a Vol skill. Now causes non-aura skills to have 80% less soul cost and increased soul cost per Vol skill used in the past 8 seconds. That's confusing. Accelerating and unstable catalysts are going to be more common outside of ultimatum as opposed to metamorph. Metamorph stash tab converted to ultimatum stash tab can hold the ultimatums. Metamorph gone. Uniques add to core drop pool. The awakened transformation div cards can now be found in maps. The shifting ire has been removed from the foundry map boss fight. Okay. Other changes. Delirium fog. Less chance to cause the fog to go away while dealing with other content. Forbidden Tome drop rate dropped. That's good. Maps back in. We get Arid Lake, Ashen Wood, Canyon back, Park, Jungle Valley, Grotto, no toxic sewers, but we got a waste pool. We're losing Dungeon, Fungal Hollow, I liked running that. Graveyard's gone again, good. Buy Leyline, give cards being swapped around. We get Ramparts, a decent one. We're losing Beach. Okay, Transfigured Gyms. So yeah, no more Helm Chance. So that is a nerf to some things, so it needs to be gained back through these transfigured gyms. Alternate versions of existing skill gyms. Like, we might not know what all these are. Actually, we're gonna have to discover these, probably. Drastically changing how existing skills play. Some existing skill gyms have had stats or interactions removed and moved to transfigured versions. Yay, lab. For gym XP, add quality. A substantial amount of damage dealing skills have had their quality stats buffed, but there's no more alternate qualities in the game. Vendor recipes no longer work with skill gyms, but it can work with support gyms. So you have to GCP them or start with a higher quality one. GCPs might gain value because of this. They might have been rebalanced how quality gyms can be obtained in a lot of areas. Heist by far is currently the best way to get quality gems. Regrading lens no longer can be obtained. They'll be deleted. Tainted blessings can no longer be obtained. Divination cards being disabled, all because of enchants on them. Grand Spectrum jewels dropped from Labyrinth Troves and Emperor's Vaults from Silver Keys. Fun with that. No more enchants from delirium orbs, so no more big helm enchant things coming out of simulacrums. That, when I was just doing simulacrums, felt like the best thing I was getting, at least in SSF, from simulacrums, and that's not going to be the case. I hope that content was like replaced, or some of the other rewards buffed there. TotA, fortification, chests of quality gems, transportation, trap stash of gems. Varici bench getting buffed to 50 from 20 maybe. Leo's research safe house now trap stash. Rebalance of heist. Grand heist rewards no longer differ based on the type. That's awesome. Rewards from chests and grand heists are still influenced by blueprint area. Oh, the jobs and stuff. Yeah, okay. That makes sense because that's based on how the tiles are spawned. The job types there. Thief's Trinket is now unlocked when you first pick up a Thief's Trinket on that character rather than in Underbelly or Smuggler's Den blueprints. Oh, that's cool. So you can just give a trinket to another character by dropping it on the ground and picking it up, and then you get a slot without having to run them into heist. So buffed currency rewards, increased stack side of currency rewards. Cool. Some jewels being removed because that's now going to gems. Vendor recipes for Dead Reckoning, Spirit Guards, Endless Misery have been removed. Anima Stone unique jewel no longer has +1 max number of summoned golems. Existing versions are unaffected by this change. So if you have one, that's going legacy. Changing the Dead Reckoning jewel. Okay, so transfigured gems are not being shown to us. I'm actually okay with this. That'd be something fun to just explore and discover and think, oh, this is cool. But it also, if they do give us a list of them, it might be useful to try and pick for one. Start analyzing all before you get to touch it, what is best. So they're just giving us the quality changes to gems. 40% cooldown recovery rate on Absolution is going to make that huge for minions. Absolution's going to be much better because of this alone. Absolutely. Big buff there. Alchemist's Mark is Alchemist's Mark. Ambush is Ambush. Ancestral Cry, cooldown recovery rate. I think a lot of Warcries are getting this, but increase there. Ancestral Protector, strike range instead of damage. War Chief, activation range instead of damage. These are all gem qualities. Animate Guardian, quality change. I don't know. Those things die, you lose gear, and still never really been super interested in those. Animate Weapon, +2 maximum now. Arc gets +1 chain for 20 quality. Arcane Cloak gets buff effect instead of duration. Armageddon Brand, damage with hits against brand enemies instead of cast speed. That's a good change for that. Artillery Ballista +1 arrow, probably good. All lightning, radius, bane, curse effect doubled. Barrage +1 projectile. Battle Mage Cry gets the big cooldown recovery instead of AoE. Bear Trap gets +1 second space duration. Interesting. Berserk cooldown recovery rate. Good if you are good at generating rage. Blade Blast no longer detonates Blade Vortex. Now has radius. Blade Flurry. More damage with hits and ailments for each stage. That's pretty good. Blade Trap lasts +1 seconds and rotates +1 times. Oh, that's a big buff to Blade Trap. Blade Vortex no longer has crit chance per blade, but is getting a damage buff, and quality gives hit rate for each blade. That seems good. Bladefall gives an additional volley, and it's losing some stuff. Crit chance, less damage per volley it's losing. Bladefall might be getting a big buff there. No longer has the critical tag. Blade Storm gets +1 Blade Storm. Blast Rain +1 arrow. Blazing Salvo. Radius. Blight. Base duration. Huge for Blight. Blink Arrow. No longer minion damage. Minion life. Okay, that's with the clones, but it gives cooldown recovery rate instead of projectile speed. Body Swap quality is very nice. Extra percentage of max life is base fire damage. Very cool. Bone Offering gets effect. That's big. Bone Shatter. More damage per trauma. Okay, that's probably pretty good for that. Brand Recall gets its cooldown recovery rate quality back. Finally. Burning Arrow damage with Ignite. More damage. Big quality. Burning Arrow ignites. Radius on Caustic Arrow. Chain Hook. Rage. On hit. Charge Dash causes the illusion to move it. Additional percent of movement speed. Still Charge Dash. Cleave gets base radius per nearby enemy. Cobra Lash chains 2 additional times instead of crit chance. And got a damage buff for each remaining chain. Cold Snap gives more effective chill for quality and doesn't have it as levels. It's cool, but cold dot builds, I already know it's bad. Vortex is a cast not instant. Consecrated Path, more damage with hits closer. On quality, contagion, radius, in meters instead of area of effect. Inversion trap, duration, instead of duration, like so flat instead of increased. Crackling Lance, more damage per intensity. So a stacking buff with a support gem here for Crackling Lance. Interesting. Unless Crackling Lance has some kind of intensity thing that I don't recall. Creeping Frost, meters, base radius, cremation, faster projectile firing instead of damage. Cyclone no longer has first hit deals less damage, gains stages, lose stages. It now has 10% increased area of effect per 0.1 meter additional melee strike range and all hits. So they changed the way it doesn't gain stages, it just has a fixed AoE based on melee strike range, which is probably how Cyclone should have worked. I like this change, having just messed with Cyclone a little bit. Dark Pact, additional skeletons life as chaos, decoy totem life, destructive link duration. Detonate dead, chance to detonate additional corpse. Devouring totem life, discharge, damage without removing charges chance. Now has 15% more AoE per charge consumed at all gym levels. Previously 20% increased. Base radius now described in the gym. I wonder if there's a cap to that more AoE. So that could be crazy. Divine Ire getting changed the day after I built Divine Ire. It now goes only to 10 stages instead of 20 and deals 240% more damage with hits per stage. So stages 2 more. It no longer has 50% less damage while channeling or charge generation while hitting rare enemy or extra charge stage things. And quality gives beam width. So it's overall going to be a little bit quicker to ramp the damage on it, and no longer having the less damage while channeling is probably going to increase the coverage damage of it. Divine Ire's getting buffs. It probably needs it because it didn't feel good. Dominating Blow. Minions have cooldown recovery rate. Fantastic. Dominating Blow is going to be better because of that. This almost feels like such an incomplete picture, right? Because we're going to be able to transfigure these. It's just like they changed everything. And some of these are pretty impactful, but there's more beyond this that they're not giving us. Double strike chance to double damage to bleeding enemies. Interesting. That's a lot from quality. Dual strike has more damage with hits and ailments against enemies that are on full life to 60% from 30. And then big more damage from quality. Earthquake, aftershock damage, quality, big. Earth shatter, additional fissure, elemental hit, more damage per elemental ailment on the enemy. That's cool. LE weakness, duration of elemental ailments instead of effective curse. That is a nerf to LE weakness. Enduring cry, cooldown recovery rate instead of duration. That's fine. Energy shield, more max energy shield instead of crit chance. Ensnaring arrow, buff effect, essence drain, regen, EK, additional projectiles, exsanguinate, big base duration. That's cool. That's actually pretty big for exsanguinate, I think. It's still gonna have max charges. Explosive arrow, +2 arrows can be stuck in enemy. Explosive concoction, reduced charges used. Explosive trap, +2 smaller explosions. That seems good. Eye of Winter, +2 shard projectiles. That seems good. Fire Trap is trap trigger area of effect. Okay, that's not the worst, but it's not as big as some other things. But Fire Trap can be built without most trap nodes and fire dot and stuff. So you might not get the trap trigger AoE. It actually works really nice, I think, there. Fireball now has base radius smaller, way bigger at level 20. No longer gains radius as travels distance. That sucks. Now plus 0.2 meters radius on quality. Firestorm gets radius. Flame Blast +1 stages. Flame Dash gets modifiers to spell damage applied to this skill's damage over time effect. Okay, quality's interesting there because that changes how you can scale Flame Dash dot. Flame Link duration, Flame Surge, more damage. That's big for hits against burning enemies. There is a fun thing I did once with Flame Dash and Flame Surge. You use the Flame Dash to make sure the enemy's burning, and I had a big Flame Surge. That was fun. Flame Wall gets +1 max Flame Walls. Flamethrower Trap, cooldown recovery rate. That's good for that. Flame Ability, increased Ignite duration from the previous one. Flesh Offering gets effect instead of duration. Flicker Strike, doubled the frenzy charge on hit rate. From quality, Forbidden Rite, +2 projectiles instead of speed. Freezing Pulse no longer has projectile speed. Okay. Frenzy, more attack damage and speed per frenzy charge. That's cool. Frostblades, +2 projectiles. Frost Bomb, cooldown recovery rate, no longer has more damage per duration. And the debuff no longer causes reduced energy shield regen rate. Frost Wall, cooldown. Frostblink, max travel distance. Frozen Legion, cooldown. Galvanic Arrow, prod speed. Galvanic Field, chance to shock enemies. General's Cry, +1 summon Mirage Warriors. Glacial Cascade, final burst, more damage, up to 50%. That seems insane. Glacial Hammer, every third hit causes every third successive strike to freeze as though dealing 100% more damage. Ground Slam, more damage with hits closer. A lot of more damage in here. Heavy Strike, chance to deal double damage. Herald of Agony, max virulence. That's cool. I've never used Herald of Agony, but this is scalable as you increase quality on stuff. So Herald of Agony could be getting big buffs, but you're going to need some things still. Probably still need the jewel. But Herald of Agony, I think, is yeah, that's getting big buffs there. Herald of Ash is getting a nerf for buff effect scaling, but getting increased burn damage for the overkill damage. Herald of Ice getting radius. Herald of Purity, cooldown recovery rate. Herald of Thunder, strike frequency. Okay. That's interesting. Flame Totem prod speed gets doubled. Ice Nova no longer has less AoE on Frostbolt. Damage goes way up. Effectiveness goes way up. Has radius. Okay. I don't think I saw anything with Frostbolt, did I? Yeah, there's nothing here with Frostbolt. But we're not even all the gyms are here. Had things changed, so we're not even reading about them right now. Ice Shot no longer has increased effect of cold ailments. Quality gives big increased angle. Ice Spear quality now causes shards of ice in their second form to have crit multi, so not projectiles there. Okay. Ice Trap, chance to trigger additional time, that's huge. Icicle Mine, +2 projectiles, that's cool. Mortal Call, cooldown recovery rate instead of skill effect duration. Incinerate, +2 max stages on quality. Infernal Blow, increased damage per charge. Infernal Cry, cooldown recovery rate. My first glance through this, I saw this is a massive buff. It's really hard to get cooldown recovery for Infernal Cry. So if you want to do something with Infernal Cry, huge buff there. Intimidating Cry, cooldown recovery rate. Intuitive Link, duration. Kinetic Blast no longer gets AoE. Quality has +1 explosions. Kinetic Bolt, quality causes increases and reductions to spell damage to also apply to attack damage from 0 to 50%. Interesting. Lacerate, attack speed if you've changed stance recently. Okay. Lancing Steel, projectile, leap slam, stun duration on full life. Lightning Arrow, +2 targets. Lightning Conduit, more damage with hits per shock. That's crazy. Lightning Conduit, that looks really nuts. Lightning Spire, strike an additional area, that seems good. Lightning Strike, additional projectile. Lightning Tendrils, +40 crit multi. Lightning Trap, chance to trigger additional time, that's good. Mana Bond, extra damage per unreserved mana. Mirror Arrow gets a change for the minions and gets cooldown recovery rate. Molten Strike, more damage with hits and ailments from projectiles. Orb of Storms, beam splitting. That's cool. Penance Brand has been significantly simplified. It no longer spreads energy to nearby enemies or causes regular pulses while at max energy. It now immediately causes an explosion when the branded enemy reaches maximum energy. It no longer causes an explosion when it expires or detaches from an enemy. It no longer has an attached duration. Instead, it remains attached to the enemy until it reaches max energy, then expires immediately once the explosion occurs. It no longer gains damage or radius per energy. So it's like a timed bomb, like planting a bomb on someone. It deals fizz damage, scaling really high, has huge damage effectiveness, more damage with hits against branded enemies. That seems really crazy. That's insane fizz damage. Perforate is getting some numerical changes. No longer has 2 additional strikes for stance change. It just gets that with quality. Pestilent Strike gets poison duration. Plague Bearer gets a boost to additional plague value. Poisonous Concoction gets chance to inflict Wither. Power Siphon fires projectiles at nearby enemies instead of additional projectiles. Okay, I might have changed how Power Siphon works. Now grants crit multi per power charge. That's insane. Power Siphon. That could be fun. Protective Link duration. Puncture more damage with bleeding instead of damage faster. Punishment. Debilitation instead of Curse effect. Purifying Flame, Shockwaves, more damage. That's good. Purity of Elements gets additional resistances on quality. Purity of Fire, Cold, Lightning, I'll do the same. Higher Class Mine gets an additional projectile. Rage Vortex, additional Rage Sacrifice. Rain of Arrows, up to 4 additional arrows. Raise Spectre, Minion Res instead of Speed. Quality on Raise Zombie gets an additional Zombie. Zombies no longer attack enemies with an area of effect slam, just a melee attack. Gym gives more life, replacing the cooldown recovery rate and AoE for the slam. Chance for additional zombie. Okay, Rallying Cry cooldown. Reap, more damage per blood charge. That seems like a buff. Reeve, +2 max stages. That's interesting. Still need the Vol Reeve, because you gotta stack the charges on it, but you need that quality Vol Reeve at that point. Our Vol side area is going to work in Vol Gyms with the new quality. Can you do anything to corrupted gyms to give it quality, since quality is going to be so important? Or is the only useful way to get them now to corrupt them? Reckoning cooldown recovery rate. Rejuve Totem life. Righteous Fires being changed from base fire damage to more % of life and energy shield. Quality gives radius. Cost. Cooldown recovery rate. Rolling Magma +2 chains. Scorching Ray. Additional stacking damage for its debuffs. Scourge Arrow. +1 Thorn Arrow. Searing Bond. Quality gives additional summon totems. That's cool. Seismic Cry cooldown. Seismic Trap additional wave. That's cool. Shattering Steel. No longer consumes steel shards or grants steel ward or has any of its steel ward stats. No longer has base duration is 5 seconds. The steel shards thing. It no longer has any of these things. Now provides increased impale effect. So Shattering Steel got a rework. Interesting. Shield Crush. More damage with hits closer to target. Shock Nova. Max effect of shock. Interesting. Shockwave Totem Radius. Shrapnel Ballista. Proj speed doubled there. Siege Ballista. Attack speed per max totem. That's cool. Siege ballistas are fun. Sigil of Power. Enemies deal less damage while at max stages. That's cool. Siphoning Trap. More beams to enemies. Okay. Smite. More area damage. Okay. That's fine. Smoke Mine. Additional movement speed. Snipe +1 max stage. Soul Link duration. Soul Rin base duration. That's cool. Spark. Additional projectiles. Now specifies the number of projectiles it fires. Loses some proj speed. Spectral Helix. Projectiles that have pierced deal more damage. Okay. Additional projectiles on Spectral Shield Throw. Spectral Throw. More damage on piercing enemy. Spell Slinger. Extra spell damage equal to damage of want. That's a big buff. Can you Spell Slinger Penance Brands with a Fizz Wonder? Why wouldn't you? You're getting all that effectiveness added damage, so give it a ton of flat fizz from a wander that's doing fizz damage. Yep, Spellslinger Penance Brand. That's an idea. Spirit Offering, increased effect. Split Arrow +4 arrows. Splitting Steel completely changed. All of Steel, 40% chance to impale instead of 60. Changed the speed. Gives increased impale effect. Static Strike, beam frequency. Seems good. Storm Brand, +1 beam to an enemy. That seems interesting. Storm Burst, duration. I think that's a good thing. Storm Call now gives chance for lightning to strike the marker when cast. Okay. Storm Rain, each arrow can fire +1 beam. That seems really good. Storm Bind. Runes have more area of effect each time they've been improved instead of cast speed. Okay. Storm Blast Mine quality gives increased damage taken to enemies near it. So it's aura effect and had a numerical damage buff on flat and effective. Carrion Golem quality gives buff effect. Golems no longer have increased minion max life and now they have more life inherently. Probably a good thing. Maybe they'll stay alive more. So all golems are getting buff effect quality. Holy Relic gets buff effect. SRS chance to summon an additional minion. That seems really good. And they moved one of the mods that was on the gym internal, tying it to the Raging Spirits level. Now, Summon Reaper gets more life inherently, chance to inflict bleeding, skeletons, +1 max skeletons, stone golem, buff effect, sunder, plus 0.1 meters to radius with each area in sequence. That seems good. Sweep radius, flat instead of AoE. Tectonic Slam for your branching chance, Tempest Shield, chance to shock, Temporal Rift, debuffs expire faster, Tornado movement speed, doubled from before. Tornado Shot, additional secondary projectile. On quality, Toxic Rain, 0.2 seconds base duration. That's huge. That's big. Toxic Rain buff. Unearth, quality causes corpses spawn to have max life instead of cast speed, so big Unearth buff. Vampiric Link, duration. Vengeance, chance to trigger when hit, 20% instead of 10. Venom Gyre, quality gives additional caught projectiles. Vigilant Strike, more attack damage per endurance charge. Viper Strike, base duration. Seems good. Void Sphere, cooldown recovery rate. Volatile Dead Orb, move speed. Volcanic Fissure projectiles. Voltaxic Burst, more damage with hits and ailments for each cast of the spell currently waiting. Vortex has 0.75 cast time instead of instant. Can no longer explode from Frostbolts. Got slight damage buff at the bottom end, lowered at the top end. Quality gives radius, rip vortex. Bye bye. The best part about it was the fact that it was instant and you could like jump into something and use it there or run around with it on left click. And yeah, big yikes there. It's now just a worse cold snap, honestly. Wave of Conviction no longer has skill effect duration, now has base duration that scales, and quality gives damage penetration up to 15%. From Wave of Conviction, that's crazy. Wild Strike gives free Shock Ignite chance up to 20%. Winter Orb +2 stages, that's good. Winter Tide Brand, more damage per stage, that's good. Withering Step gets the alt quality +2 withered debuffs. Yeah, that's good. All skill gems, quality changes, yep. Similar to the others. Vol Absolution, cooldown recovery rate is insane there. A lot of these are matching the others. Base duration, Vol Blight, hit rate, Blade Vortex, Chain on the Vol Arc, increased base crit there, and gets 15% more damage for each remaining chain. Vol Caustic Arrow, Radius, Vol Cold Snap, more effective chill. Yeah, all these, like, they're the exact same thing, just carried over. Vol Domination, cooldown recovery rate. Insane buff. Yep, Vol Reeve gets +2 max stages as well. You're going to be able to get bigger Reeves than ever before. The value of the enhanced gym just went up quite a bit. A support gym chain. Oh my goodness. I'm over halfway down the thing. Extra targets can be found further away. Ancestral Call. On quality. Okay, so these are all quality changes too? Wow. Awakened Ancestral Call the same. List of totem support. Reduced placement speed. Behead. Damage with enemies on low life. On quality. Last Train Mind quality is damage instead of throw speed. That's probably a downside. Blind gives blind effect instead of duration. I like that. Bone Chill causes support skills to deal increased cold damage instead of chill duration. That's good. That's when damage taken, causing them to deal less damage to trigger. That's cool. Close combat is not specific to melee damage, just damage to hits with close range enemies. Cluster traps, trap trigger area of effect. Okay. Quality no longer causes supported skills to deal increased fire damage. Well, what does it do now? Hold the fire. Just remove one line. Pulling Strike, recover life in whole enemy. First ground, area of effect. Devour, increase damage if you've consumed a corpse recently. Feeding Frenzy, movement speed instead of base duration. That's good. The base duration was never an issue there. Flame Wood, totem life instead of fire damage. Fortify has duration instead of attack damage. Rigid Bond causes damage and chill to linger for a base duration of +2 seconds. On quality, that's probably big for that. Hex Bloom, Hex Transfer Range. I impact mine, just basic mine damage instead of throw speed as well. Hypothermia, chance to freeze enemies which are chilled. Okay, that's a buff. Ice Bite, damage per frenzy charge instead of damage against frozen enemies. Infernal Legion, minion damage. Okay. Innervation lasts additional seconds. That's cool. Inspiration has reduced mana cost now all the time. Life tap quality gives it additional time. Maim has increased effective maim. Meat shield causes minions to take less damage. That's good. Instead of the physical damage reduction, so less good for the blessing. Minefield quality mind throw speed got nerfed. Minion life gives minion life up to 20% instead of 15. Multi-strike, more melee damage instead of melee physical damage. Overcharge shock duration got a nerf by a little bit. Power charge on crit gives chance to gain power charge on crit. Okay. Is the lightning no longer causes skills to deal increased lightning damage on the quality. Pulverize qualities area of effect instead of area damage. Spell totem placement speed got cut in half. Stun chance to double stun duration. Swift assembly nerf and throw speed on quality. Swift brand quality is more activation frequency instead of increased. That's probably cool. You're going to want that for the Penance brand. That's going to be fun to play with. Trap has increased trap damage instead of throw speed. Vile toxins, increased damage with poison got nerfed. Volley projectile damage took a slight nerf as well. Miscellaneous gem changes. Updated the description for stats on gems that provide increased movement speed to minions, such as the one found on Animate Guardian. To clarify, it does not affect minions from other skills. Okay. Mini skill gems now display the total number of projectiles or arrows they fire instead of the additional. Mini skill gems now display radius in meters on the gem description. Spell Echo. Awakened Spell Echo can no longer support blink skills. One ascendancy change. Chieftain Explode thing can work with totems. Passive tree changes. Mastery stats that granted accuracy against marked enemies, unique enemies, or nearby enemies now instead grant more accuracy. They were not functioning correctly. Speaker of the Dead nerf from 50 touched enemies to 20. Destructive play is fixed. You can't kill the map boss too fast anymore. Ashes of the Stars no longer has reservation efficiency, but it's getting a boost to just about everything as it gives the gem quality across the board. So that's good. Heat Shiver nerfed to 30%. Full damage as extra fire from 100. Replica Dragon Fang is getting a nerf across the board. Can still roll +3 gems. Home Spirit is getting nerfed. You need a lot more life recovery for the rage regen there. Probably to balance it with the new ascendancy thing. Uber unique boots being changed. Buffed actually. Emerald Edge added max lightning damage. Can no longer scale off a minion's max ES. Okay. Relicash and Patience change. Yeah, that's a strange change there. You count as having maximum number of charges, though you might not actually have them. But there are some things that require you to be at max charges. So that's interesting. Replica changes. Replica Bones of Ur now cause phantasms and raging spirits to have a chance to refresh their duration on rare enemies, not just unique. Replica Mistwall no longer has a chance to give max spell block. Replica Perfect Form is being completely changed. Now gives versatile combatant and +20 chance to block attack damage. And these are getting legacy items. Replica Bitter Dream gives a level 15 Ellie pin instead of level 1. And this affects all items. Even if it says level 1, it'll be level 15. At least for now. Until this number gets changed, if it ever would. Replica Oros no longer has damage against frozen enemies, leeches life, and instead gets Culling Strike against frozen enemies. Cool. Item balance. Dynacore's Lock doesn't work on Altars of Corruption, so price of those just went up for the next couple days. Maven releases all bosses at once, can be rolled again. A bunch of experimented bases removed, and a bunch of others getting buffs. Yep. Buffs. Yep, buffs. 2 additional Warcry exerts with the Impact Force Propagator. That's cool. Increased crit chance on some of them. Yep, 2 Endurance Power Frenzy Charges. Accumulator 1. That's cool. Micro Distillery Belt. I still don't know if 30% increased effect enough as for that to be wanted. Mech Alarms getting buffed. Hogwarok and Geodesic getting changed to get increased modifier effects. Simplex Amulet now only can have 1 prefix, and it's getting way bigger. But you can now create a +2 Simplex really easily, I guess. You just have to roll +1 on it, and you have a +2 Amulet. The shields are getting their values reduced, but block increased. Yep. on all of them. Ruthless specific changes, very minimal things. Foundry boss has been changed. I'd have to see it. Kirak mods, Torment, Anarchy, Ambush, Beyond, Blight, Expedition, Ultimatum. Okay, no essence this time. We're gonna have challenges around these things though, probably. I think that's usually how it works. But you can get access to all of them now, regardless. So you can click NPCs in the campaign to sell stuff. Good. The gym quality type, condition, and the loot filter has been removed. Yeah, we still are going to get information on new loot filter stuff, and then a bunch of bug fixes. And that is all of that. Lots of crazy things. Rip Vortex. There's a lot of fun stuff to mess with up in here. Toxic Rain. I think this is going to be a big buff to that. Toxic Rain is going to be a strong starter, without a doubt. I really like the Penance brand. You can Spell Slinger a Penance brand. It's going to slap so hard. Lightning Conduit getting a buff is really cool. Absolution. Dominating Blow. Definitely getting buffed. Divine Eye are getting completely reworked pretty much to make it actually something doable. It seems. So much stuff to mess with, and this isn't even all of it, right? Because we don't know about the transcensions that we have to run lab for. Supposedly that's going to be really crazy, but I think I went through everything, gave my thoughts as I went through it, and then next time for me, I guess it's back to trying to make Divine Ire work in its current state before it gets all buffed, and maybe start thinking about wrapping things up here. Lots of stuff to double corrupt before the end of the league. But I'd like to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, definitely hit the like button as it really helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss more videos from me. If you'd like to help support my channel, please consider using the super thanks to the heart icon just below the video, or by joining to become a member, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.